What's up guys and welcome back to Anime Symbol, and I'm back with part 2 of What If Naruto was Itachi's older brother, guys. Remember to get this one too 100 like as usual. Share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also guys, if you're new and this is the first time hearing my voice, yes, that's correct, I indeed have 3 more channels which I post What If on every single day for you guys to enjoy. The link will be down in the description for the other What Ifs, so go ahead, check them out, and yeah, enjoy guys. And don't forget to turn on the bell notification to see every time I post, because I do post a hell of a lot. So without further ado or wasting any more time, how about we jump right into this brand new episode. Begin the intro. So the last part that we left off, we were introduced to a young boy. His name was Naruto Uchiha, having the standard features of a Uchiha, but his hair was in a stylish fashion, covering majority of his face, exposing one of his eyes. His name was Naruto Uchiha, as he went to visit his mother, Ajisai Uchiha. Ajisai was a very powerful kunoichi who fell in battle, known as the Blood Queen or the Red Queen amongst the Elemental Nation. Fugaku Uchiha and Ajisai were together when they were younger. They were both 18 years old when they had a surprise. It was Naruto, yes. She was pregnant and thus Naruto was born. However, she passed away. It's been a few years now because Naruto was 5 years old. His father, someone that Naruto respected greatly, had been miserable since the death of Ajisai, until he met someone else, Mikoto. Given the amount of years that passed, Naruto felt that it was appropriate. Mikoto was a very wonderful person, as she treated Naruto like a son despite the fact that they weren't related in the slightest. She was nice, caring and kind, so Naruto was grateful to her. As Naruto joined the academy at a very young age, however, his skills were far above, which allowed him to be taking the exam of a Chunin at 7 years old, where he faced off against Kakashi Hatake, another prodigy amongst his time. Both boys clashed vigorously, as the battle between them was fast and deadly. However, the moment that Naruto showed his Sharingan, the match was over. He was stronger than Kakashi and it shows. We then skip to Naruto being 12 years old, as he was on the battlefield. Things had turned pretty bad pretty fast. The Hidden Stone had used their head against them by sacrificing a few of their men to get all of them, as Naruto had made quite the reputation for himself despite just being 12 years old, and many wished for his demise. On the battlefield, Naruto saw someone that he's known since he was a child take her final breath. He lost it, which triggered something very powerful. It awakened his Mangekyou, losing his best friend since childhood. It awakened his eyes, as Naruto immediately took on all the other Jonins. There was a few Chunins there, but it was 50 plus and it was him alone. Their forces were strong, but Naruto killed at least 30 plus of them before they start to weaken him with using long-range attacks. It seems like Naruto was about to die, but blood started to leak from his eye as he opened them wide. When backup finally arrived, they came to see a mountain of corpses. As they were shocked when someone emerged, it was Naruto, not in the right state of mind as he collapsed. Returning back to the village, Naruto was in a severe health decline. There was a chance that he might die, but the doctors were able to pull off a miracle. The mere fact that he actually was able to recover was a shocking miracle. But he did survive. However, the two ninjas that escaped and returned back to their Tishikage saw something else. You see, when Naruto awakened his Mangetsu and used it, the ability caused a different something to them, a sight that they'd never seen before. One moment, the 20 plus ninjas were about to take down Naruto, and the next moment, they were all enclosed in a massive sphere of complete darkness. No one was able to truly see what the hell was going on. And that was it. When they saw backup arriving, the spear had burst around 10 seconds earlier, and all that remained was corpses. Returning back to the Hidden Leaf, when Naruto finally got out of the hospital, his childhood friend had a younger brother. Naruto made her a promise that he would look after him. The younger brother's name was Shisui Uchiha. His father came to speak to him afterwards, as Naruto ended up revealing his eyes to him. Mikoto was worried about Naruto's mental stability after what he witnessed. It wasn't much full frontal battle that he did, but this one turned so bad so fast. However, Fukaku knew that Naruto was much stronger than that, physically and mental wise. And upon seeing Naruto's eyes, he knew that Naruto has evolved into the next stage of the Sharingan. A couple of years passed by as Konoha was going up against Kiri. Recently, someone had met their end. Another member of Kakashi Hatake's team. Her name was Ren Nohara. Kiri wanted to use her as a pawn to send the Three Tails to destroy Konoha, but they failed. People believed that Kakashi was a kin killer, given the fact that he would do anything for the safety of the mission. But that was not how things went. Ren actually jumped on his Shidori, sacrificing herself. Shisui lured the Kiri ninjas out, one of them being a Yuki member, as they came across the Crimson Reaper, the nickname that Naruto had gathered for himself. There was many, but this one stand out even more. They took him on, which was a big mistake, as the censor believed that they could not have their senses fooled, as Naruto showed them that they were wrong. Each and every member was destroyed, as Konoha was able to control majority of the base there, forcing Kiri back on the waters. Returning back to the village, the friendship that Kakashi and Naruto had over the past couple of years had still remained strong, even in these dire moments. Naruto was one of the few people that Kakashi relied on as much. It wasn't long after that Naruto found out his younger brother Itachi was caught up in a rather violent accident. Yes, his teammate and sensei were killed, as Naruto came home to find out who the hell was behind it. So yeah guys, basically that's what I thought you guys can switch across the playstick of yourself, so we jump right into this brand new episode. Begin now guys. Something was not right. He could tell. Naruto was outside of his home, within the compound. On his shoulders was his youngest brother, Sasuke Uchiha. The young child was holding on to Naruto's hair as Naruto was outside, relaxing. He was actually babysitting, despite the fact that Itachi was more than mature enough to do the same, but Naruto has been busy lately. It wasn't long ago that he joined Anbu, and he was already in the works to take over a team as a captain. So he enjoyed returning home every now and again and spend as much time as he could with his family. At the moment, Mikoto and Fukaku was on their anniversary. Naruto was more than generous enough to come by to spend some time with his younger siblings. Sasuke seemed really happy by him being there, as he was making all sorts of noise. He could speak but not fully. Naruto gazed towards the back room door. Itachi was inside, about to come outside. Since the loss of his teammates and his sensei, Naruto has been here for him helping him through that trauma. Shisui has also taken a role like a big brother for Itachi as well. While Naruto was busy most of the times, Shisui didn't have any family left. His parents died some time ago, and his sister was his last family that he had. Naruto always regret that he wasn't able to save her, that he failed to protect her on that day. Watching her die had been truly tragic on him, but he stuck to his words, and he treated Shisui like he was a part of the family. Itachi stepped outside as he opened his mouth to say something. Before he could though, Naruto snapped his head around as he felt it before it truly happened. The next moment, a terrifying roar scared the living hell out of Sasuke. Itachi snapping his gaze to where said roar originated from. They could all feel the terrifying wrath. Naruto stepped in front of Itachi as he gazed outwards. What is that? Itachi said, as the monstrous form of the nine-tailed fox had been summoned within the village. Naruto took Sasuke off his shoulders, who was curling up on him, completely scared of what was going on. Naruto could tell the distance of where the beast was located as he crouched down and handed Sasuke over to Itachi. Look at me, said Naruto. Itachi was afraid. Everyone was, given the sheer malice that the beast let off. I need you to take Sasuke and head to the shelter. Immediately, Naruto said. What about you? Itachi asked, looking up toward his older brother. I'll make sure that everyone here is fine. Go, now, through the back door, said Naruto. Itachi nodded, knowing that it was a wise thing to do to listen to his older brother right now. As he headed through the back door, Naruto quickly jumped to a higher ledge, able to see where the fox was, as he gazed over, making sure that Itachi was out of there before he moved off. He watched him until he started to head out. Naruto saw the other Uchihas making their way, afraid of the calamity coming here. That is when Naruto saw a massive piece of debris about to crash right in the center of the compound. It was uprooted by the nine-tailed beast. Dashing from home to home, Naruto leaped into the sky. Everyone looked up as a massive fireball completely eviscerated the massive piece of debris. Izumi Uchiha was running as she tripped. She looked up as she saw something falling down towards her. However, the next moment, she found herself a distance away from that area. Are you okay? She looked up, amazed, as Naruto was holding her. He set the young girl down, checking for injuries, but she was fine. Naruto looked up as he started to give out orders to a few nearby Uchiha. Despite them being terrified, his words and voice was able to snap their mind back into reality. You five there, said Naruto. Get the children to safety now. They did not question his orders. They all knew that Naruto was next in line to becoming the clan head. The sheer respect that these Uchiha had for him, given the things that he's done, the strength that he's shown, the sacrifices that he's made to protect those that were always by his side. They did not waste any time as they quickly grabbed the kids and immediately started to move out of there. More debris started to rain down as Naruto blurred through hand sign. Two nearby Uchihas landed beside him as they did the same. Massive stream of flames shoot into the sky, destroying all of the giant debris, turning them into harmless rubble. Naruto made sure that all of the Uchihas were safe and all those that could fight were heading out to help with the safety of the villagers as well. However, he came to a stop when he noticed that the Uchihas had stopped. What the hell is going on? He said as they quickly parted way. Standing there was three men. The three of them were wearing masks. What the hell is going on here? Said Naruto, immediately recognizing that they were not the main branch of Anvu. They were the other, the ones that were kept in the shadow. Different from the Anvus, the secret, the root ninjas. Given who he was, Naruto knew certain information that most people doesn't know. The one in the center spoke up. You and the rest of the Uchihas has been ordered to evacuate all the citizens and to not engage with the nine-tailed fox. Naruto's gaze narrowed when he heard that. Their main objective was to also help the people, but why? That is what he asks. However, all he was told was, orders are orders. Under whose authority, said Naruto? The Hokage, the man said. Naruto's gaze narrowed even more. Go, he said, to the Uchiha standing behind him. Help with the evacuation. They nodded as they took off. That is when another violent piece of debris struck the ground. Immediately, Naruto's Sharingan activated. The Anvus in front of him blocked his way. You are under orders, he said. You are not to approach the Nine Tails. Naruto knew that he could stop the beasts. With the eyes that he possessed, he could stop the massive, rampaging beasts. But these idiots were standing in his way. Why would the Hokage give an order like that? Does he want more people to die? Watching as bodies were thrown, Naruto had enough. In the split second that the Anvus take their attention off of him from the other explosion, Naruto was upon them. Despite all of them being trained root ninjas, they were all disarmed in a matter of seconds. They shouldn't have taken their eyes off him. They were shocked. They were trained to suppress emotion in every possible way. But the fact that he took all three of them down so easily, it shocked them. All of this was Danzo doing. The former Hokage was approached by Danzo Shimura. He insisted that the Uchihas were behind this attack. Hiruzen didn't want to believe anything that Danzo was saying. He wanted the Uchihas to help. However, the other two council members there, the elders, agreed with Danzo, and Danzo started to make his move, believing that he had enough say-so to put the Uchihas in a confined space. However, Naruto immediately took off, not wasting any time as he raced towards the massive beast. The sight was intimidating and dreadful. Naruto raced along the building tops as he jumped, dodging debris that was thrown, ninjas from all angles launching all sorts of attacks. As Naruto looked around, where the hell was the fourth Hokage, or the third Hokage as well? Where the hell was the Sanins? None of them were here. He could consider some of them being out of the village, but at least Orochimaru of the Sanins should be in the village. His snakes would be drastically helpful in this battle, but they were not here. Naruto's gaze landed on the beast as it came down with such a ferocity, kicking up so much debris and dust. Naruto leaped into the sky. He landed on a piece of debris and kicked off, further elevating himself. As he locked eyes with the rampaging beast, Naruto saw something. Its eyes. They were already showing the Sharingan. What the hell? Naruto said. The beast saw him and swing its tail to take him out of the sky. However, in that moment, something was thrown. Naruto heard the person calling out to him. It was none other than the third Hokage, witnessing Naruto about to be hit with a massive tail. Despite Naruto already preparing himself, he threw the staff, allowing Naruto to land on said staff and kick off, dodging said tail. Naruto flipped over as he landed on, grabbing the fur. He held onto it before pulling himself up. The beast tried to strike him as it brought its tail down, moving off with insane speed. As the ninjas shouted stop, they were launching all sorts of techniques. And the boy was right there. What the hell is he doing? One of them said. Is he trying to get himself killed? Hiruzen landed, grabbing Enma as he moved. As for Naruto, he weave and flick. The beast striked his arms together, trying to get Naruto off of him. It tried to rip him, but Naruto ran under the thing's leg and jumped upwards. Running across its back, Naruto flipped over and grabbed on. In that moment, Naruto Mangetio came to life. Suddenly, everyone stopped when they saw a strange substance gathering around the fox. The beast was struggling to move. A golden aura of sorts solidified and wrapped around the beast. It gripped onto one of the substance on its left arm and ripped it off. It was chakra, a strange chakra that most of them didn't quite understand. This substance took shape around the fox, molding and taking the fox's body as an example, stopping the beast completely. It now looked like a golden warrior of death. It tried to move, it howled out, but it could not. Its sheer magnitude and power was causing Naruto to struggle and grit his teeth. Suddenly, the thing bent its legs before leaping into the sky, clearing the entire distance. Everyone was shocked as the thing had jumped away, leaping away from Konoha as it went into the forest area. It crashed with a notable boom. However, in that moment, the fox's eyes, they returned back to normal. Naruto did not notice that, as the beast overpowered his control and threw him off. Naruto flipped as he crashed on the ground, dusting up and scraping up against all the debris around. The mighty beast rose back up, steam escaping from its mouth. It was so angry, it started to gather its chakra, creating a ball of death and destruction. Seeing that gathering in front of him, Naruto wasted no time, as he was about to activate his other Mangekyou ability when suddenly, boom! A colossal toad crash landing on the beast, dissipating all that chakra. "Sorry I'm late," a voice said, as Naruto looked up at said toad. None other than Minato Namikaze standing there. He looked down towards Naruto with a smile. Despite this trious and very destructive moment, Naruto felt that everything was going to be okay. "You saved a lot of people because of your actions today. I thank you," he said. "I'll handle the rest." With that, Minato teleported away, along with the nine tails and the toad. As Naruto turned his head, Minato Namikaze had teleported the fox away, in the far distance away from the village, where he already had everything set up for the sealing. With that, Naruto made his way back in the village, helping who he can here and there. The Hokage racing out to where Minato headed off to. Because of Naruto's actions, hundreds were spared. Time skip. Returning back to the village, they could feel it in the air. The sadness, the pain. Despite Naruto's intervention, many had died before. He and the others had made their way on the battlefield, but the numbers were severely reduced. People were even speaking about what he did, risking his own life to take on the Great Nine Tails, as most who tried to jump at the beast were crushed under its tails like it was nothing. Some were even curious about what exactly he did. However, returning back to the village, Mikoto and Fukaku, immediately Mikoto tried to find the boys. When she heard that Naruto took on the Nine Tails, the first thought that came to her mind made her start to worry immediately. Mikoto was a very kind, gentle woman who tended to care for her people. Despite Naruto not being her blood, she saw him as her son. That is why there were tears of joy in her eye when she saw Naruto holding Sasuke in his arms, with Itachi right beside him. There was also another girl there, Izumi, as she rushed towards them. Unfortunately though, her best friend, Kushina Uzumaki, was no longer with them, as everyone attended the funeral of the fourth Hokage, everyone saying their final goodbyes. As Naruto looked down towards the man's tombstone, he gave his life and everything for the village. Naruto respected the man. However, he knew that with the death of Minato, Kakashi would go into a deeper spiral than before. He had to be there for his friend. However, Naruto swore to him that there will be nothing to worry about. The village will be kept safe. That was a promise that he made to the man right there and then. Time skip. With a kind-hearted woman, Mikoto, as she tried to adopt the daughter of Kushina. Her name was Mito Uzumaki. Unfortunately though, the village wouldn't have that. Despite Naruto's efforts, despite the Uchihas running and saving many lives, the police force had truly got to work. Fukaku was proud of his son's actions, that he stepped up and got everyone to safety. However, there was one person that was pushing this agenda. His name was Danzo Shimura, even calling in action about Naruto, not taking proper orders or precautions. The moment those words left his lip, Fukaku slammed his hand on the table. Fukaku was a very patient man. He could withstand a lot. He could handle a lot. However, standing right here, listening to this man babble about the sacrifice that his son made, willing to even face his own death by stopping the Nine Tails, and yet he had the right to say that. The newly reinstated Hokage, Hiruzen could see the anger coming from the man. You have the gall to utter those words out of your mouth, he said. His stern look was enough to make Danzo quiet. As the people in the room, none of them spoke. If it wasn't for my son, 100 more, perhaps 1,000 would be dead. He knowingly jumped in, despite the might of the Nine Tails, and yet you have the gall to say something like that. As Danzo was trying to make it look like Naruto was the enemy, as they were trying to put something on the Uchihas, given the Sharingan that the beast was showing in his eye, Danzo was using his agenda. So far, the Uchiha clan was not being put under any scrutiny by their observation, but now Danzo was pushing this agenda very hard. Hiruzen stepped in, using his power. Fukaku is right, he said. If it wasn't for Naruto jumping in and using whatever he did against the Nine Tails, a lot more would have perished by the hands of the beast. It had no intention of stopping. We won't have any more argument on this. Is that understood, he said, as Hiruzen made himself very clear. However, Danzo moved on to his next target at hand, the relocation. Because of the incident, they were going to be dividing the shinobi interaction with the people to keep them at rest. However, as he folded out the map and started to point towards the areas that him and the other members discussed, Fukaku immediately interjected. They were the police force. Putting them out there would severely hinder their reaction time. However, Danzo brought up the Anvu Black Ops. Fukaku was pissed off, severely so, as Danzo was talking about the others. They were not the only one that was relocated, but they were the only ones that were pushed this far. Fukaku knew what the man was doing. It angered him greatly, but he kept quiet. Sometime later, all of the Uchihas were angry. As they were all gathered, Fukaku sat in front of them. Naruto was amongst said crowd. It was the adults, the fighters that were here. As Naruto was seated in the center, his eyes closed. The Uchihas around him, they were all shouting. How the village was suspecting them. Rumors and whispers started to go around that they were the monsters. The fact that they were sending them out in the outskirts of the village, it reminded them of something of the past when Tobirama Senju was in charge. There were many things that were done differently. Him placing them there to be watched like they were some kind of problem, that they were some kind of threat. Fukaku spoke up as he opened his eyes. He too had his eyes closed just like Naruto, but Naruto had yet to open his. You are all correct, he said. But the other clans accepted their relocation as well. The Uchihas cannot be the lone voice in this distress. Many of them start to voice their complaint, but he cut them off. The Uchihas will be relocated. He told them to pass the message around within the clan, as he dismissed them all. After all, he was in charge. The only person to be left in the room, as everyone left, was Naruto and Fukaku. As Fukaku sat there looking at his son, when Naruto finally opened his eyes and looked at his father, "They're seeing us as the enemies," said Naruto. Fukaku did not say anything, he simply remained quiet. When the Nine-Tail attacked the village, and I went to confront it, I wanted to do the same thing that Uchiha Madara did in the past, to control the beast, but it was already being controlled by someone else. The look on Fukaku's face as this was something that he feared, not wanting to believe that the Uchihas were behind the attack. And yet, Naruto confirmed what he had to say. No one knew exactly what happened. All the people that were there when Kushina was given birth was now dead. So no one truly knew how the seal was undone. After all, Minato was a seal master. So that was surprising. However, Naruto's next sentence made him knew that it didn't seem like exactly as it looked. It was someone else. I was able to see the chakra pattern within the controlling sense, and there was absolutely none within our clan that has that same pattern, that has that same signature. There is someone out there, someone powerful, someone that seeks the destruction of Konoha and our clan as well. And they are so secretive, Fukaku continued, to the point that the village believe that we are the threats and no one else. Your action might have saved hundreds of lives. However, many also saw the eyes. And I'm afraid that the higher heads are also sending around this information. They want to put us out as well, to isolate us like in the past. The Hokage is involved, Naruto asks, looking at the man. The older he gets, the weaker he seemed to get political wise. The one who's calling this is Danzo Shamura. Naruto's gaze narrowed dangerously. Listen to me, Fukaku said. Do not do anything stupid. They're actually looking forward for a moment where one of us slips up, so they can blame us even further. When Naruto looked his father in the eyes, Fukaku saw that look. He knew what it meant. So we're just to stand by, Naruto said. We are the only part of this village that is being pushed into the outskirts. The others are being moved, but they're not being sent away too far from their own location. We're being seen as the enemy. We're being seen as the threats here. Even after all that we've done for this village, all the police force has done, because of one man, our reputation will be tarnished, our name dragged through the mud like we are the enemies. How much more has to happen before the band finally breaks, said Naruto. You've seen, you felt it, their rage, their anger towards this. How much longer do you think it will take before they finally snap? Naruto said, looking at the man. Fukaku knew that he was talking about the members. The others were like a time bomb. And the more they pack down, the more their ignite grow. And more until finally they will explode. And when they do, there will be a lot of problem behind that. Which caused Fukaku to think drastic moves had to be made otherwise. Naruto was right. The village would turn against them. Everyone would turn against them. He couldn't allow that to happen. He had to do something about it. Something will be done, he said. However, you are not to do anything. You've disobeyed my orders in the past and done many things that would have put you on a threat list if I wasn't there to clean up your mess sometimes. But this is more serious, and the ramifications of your actions would be bad. So listen to me when I say this. Do not make a move without my word. Am I understood? Fukaku said. Fine. I won't make a move, said Naruto. Fukaku was serious because of the past. Naruto lost someone very close to him. That had sent him down a spiral. Fukaku believed that Naruto was okay, not to send him to get mental treatment. His first time being a hectic feel and he lost his closest friend. That death had festered inside of him. Naruto had done things in the past. Things that, if found out, could be used against them, but Fukaku used his political power to ensure that no one would ever find out about those things. However, in the long run, all that he's done has benefited the clan and the village as a whole. However, the public view would not be so favorable if they were to find out. He had truly become a monster in that time to make sure that his family and people that he still had remained would not meet the same fate. So Fukaku had to ensure that Naruto did not make a move without his say-so, because he knew what Naruto would do, and it would involve Danzo Shinmura. Time skip. In a short amount of time, a lot of things happened, yes, so much. Firstly, Orochimaru was found out. He had kidnapped and experimented on over 30 children. Out of the 30 that he experimented on, there was only one survivor. It was a truly horrific thing. And not only was he able to escape that night without any severe damage, that one survivor was taken in, and they found something rather peculiar with that individual. As for Naruto, he continued his duties. He and two others went to the land of sea, tracking Orochimaru, as they found something rather unexpected. It was Uncle Midarashi. Everyone believed that she had died, but in fact, she was alive. They brought her back to the village. The mark on her neck was no normal mark. It was a branding from Orochimaru. He gave it to her. They were able to suppress said mark. However, Anko didn't have much. Her memories had been altered by the Sanin to not correctly remember what happened that day. It sent her down into a spiral. Luckily, she was able to pull herself out of it by focusing on one thing, getting stronger and getting her revenge. She was going to make him suffer for what he did. As the time passed, Sasuke grew, and Itachi grew as well. In the process, Shisui was able to awaken his Mangekyo Sharingan due to a very tragic event that was his fault, that led to the death of someone close to him. As he promised that he would never allow himself to fall to temptation ever like that again. Shisui also made a name for himself. The Kiri ninjas that he fought so long in the past, from that, his name started to grow. He took Itachi on missions with him, as a young Uchiha was also becoming quite the ninja as well. However, the more Itachi grew, the more he saw how painful things truly were. Given the aftermath of the Third Great Shinobi War and the death and suffering that had plagued around him, his attitude turned to a more passive one. He didn't desire any more death and suffering. Itachi sat with Naruto on most occasions. They would talk for hours. Younger to older brother. Itachi knew certain facts about Naruto and things that he did to ensure that there was peace for them. While he would not like to have Naruto do those things, he knew that most times it couldn't be helped. One must sacrifice what they could for the betterment of those who they love. Itachi could see the temptation. He could see the rising anger with the people. There were certain effects that were causing many to turn their gaze towards the Uchiha clan. With what Orochimaru did, as much as the Hokage tried to cover it up, it did take some shade off the Uchiha clan. However, Itachi was worried, as things were going down a very dark path. Itachi knew his brother all too well. Naruto would sentence the entire village except for the Uchiha clan to death if it meant protecting them, his family and his clan. Naruto did not see things much like how Itachi was trying to observe things. His pacifistic nature made him want to prevent all of the chaos that was brewing, but if it came down to it, Naruto would rather prefer the chaos, knowing that him and the clan would come out victorious in the end. Itachi knew his brother's mindset all too well. Well, that is what he believed, and he was worried about the rise in tension. Even at this very moment, the villagers were looking in worry as the police force was roughing up a man. Despite his criminal actions, many of them whispered if they had to be that rough. Danzo stripped the Uchihas of majority of their power. Fukaku was on the council, but just by name alone, Fukaku didn't really have a vote. And where was the Hokage doing all of this? Doing absolutely nothing. They were fed up, they were angry. Even taking majority of the power away from the police force and giving it to the goddamn envoys. They had enough. They were about to snap. And that is how this plan came into action. A coup. The Uchihas were plotting a coup to do so much. There was a problem though. Two problems to be quite exact. However, the second one was only one that Naruto saw. No one else saw the second one. The problem was with the coup. The Uchihas would not just back down. They had a plan. Their plan might seem ridiculous to an extent, to the point if the village would accept it. First of all, many of the other clan's higher-ups would die in the first process, while the Uchihas commandeer majority of the structures. Shisui, his teleportation technique was one of their best, to the point that he could have gotten the Hokage away from his people. And with that said and done, it would be easy for the Hokage to be subdued, dropping into an unknown environment with two of their most powerful there. They believed they would be able to subdue the man, despite his once powerful moniker. Caught off guard like that, he would fail. There was no doubt about that in their mind. Naruto was taking a big part in this plan, as his mindset had turned much more darker as the time went by. These people believed in that they were going to see them and threw them out as the enemies. Danzo was pushing things even more. That so-called individual that was roughed up in the street, Naruto could find absolutely no information linking him back to nothing but a few years ago. He was an agent, someone planted, someone there to watch them. However, the second person was currently making their way down the street. It was nighttime within the clan at the moment. A young man, dark hair, dark eyes, was making his way. He had a little scar on his cheek. His name was Hajime Uchiha. Hajime looked forward as he saw Uchiha Naruto waiting there. Was he waiting on him, Hajime thought. He greeted Naruto with a good night. Hajime, Naruto said, "Would you mind coming with me? There's something I would like to discuss with you." Hajime nodded, being a year younger than Naruto. As they made their way off, Hajime was walking beside him, voicing his questions about what exactly Naruto would like to speak about. However, Hajime did not get an exact response. They found themselves within the clearing. Hajime, said Naruto, still not facing him. 2 years ago, you were sent on a mission to stop the assassination of a close family member to the daimyo because of the rumors that were going around. 2 members on your squad died because the numbers were greater than we expected. Hajime nodded, confirming everything that Naruto had to say because it was truthful. Is there anything else, he asks, when Naruto suddenly stops speaking. No, Naruto said. I just want to make sure that the details were correct. Suddenly, without warning or explanation, Naruto swung his fist so hard that it seems like he wanted to take off Hajime's head. Hajime ducked and rolled away, dodging Naruto as he got to his feet. What is the meaning of this? He said. Are you trying to kill me? He asks. You can drop the act. Hajime was confused. What are you talking about? He said. You are not Hajime Uchiha. Whoever performed that surgery on you, I must say, their work was impeccable. Not to mention with Hajime having no close family ties with anyone, only with his clan loyalty. No one would ever find out the truth. However, you slipped up. The so-called 2 survivors out of the 5 that was sent have gaps in their memories. I have to say, I went to the extreme level to ensure that they weren't lying to me, but they weren't. And I was able to find out that Hajime did not make it out alive. It seems like your efforts of trying to destroy their memories did not pan out so well. Because even in your success, gaps there that are not explained. Hajime took off running as fast as he could. However, Naruto bested him. They clashed, creating sparks. You're working for him, aren't you? You're an agent of that man. Naruto was speaking about Danzo Shimura. Hajime refused to speak. Hajime was one of Danzo's best in espionage, having worked this field for a good 2 years now. Hajime was gathering intel on them. He was Danzo's source within the clan all this time. Naruto knew there had to be something. Movements were being made. He saw them small, but they were being made. Danzo Shimura was being very discreet. However, certain actions were being taken that should not be on his radar. So Naruto went over it thoroughly for the past 8 months, scanning every single one, gathering intel over and over. The information about the mission 2 years ago was so small. If it was anyone else, they would have missed it, but Naruto saw it though. He had to do some very dirty things. In the process, a few people died, but he found their leak. Hajime was not that strong. All of his previous missions did not involve anything strenuous because he was severely harmed during the attack, which cancelled any long effective missions. And since he returned, there has not been a single Uchiha that has partaken on a mission with him. Danzo had rearranged this guy's face. It was a medical process to ensure that his cover was never blown. However, when Naruto punch landed into his gut, he felt like he was about to throw up. Naruto was angry. Traitors. Hajime was nothing after all. Not a part of his clan, nothing, just a spy that he was going to eliminate. Naruto beat him bloody until his knuckles were pulsating and glistening with the liquid. However, a hand on his shoulder stopped him. Naruto wasn't alone. There were 2 other Uchihas to the side. His father was also there as well. Don't kill him, Fukaku said. They knew about this mission, their little trap that they were going to set. After all, they couldn't allow Hajime to get away. Not that they doubted Naruto's skills. Of course, they did not doubt him one bit. But now, it was time for them to get information. Time skip. Danzo Shimura was getting paranoid. Over the past couple of years, 15 of his root operatives have died. Yes, you heard that right. 15 has died. The Hokage was pressing him about his conduct, his way of teaching. Danzo didn't have time for that. Hiruzen should just go and sit down for the time being. He has not received a report. Hajime was supposed to report into him, but he has not received the report from that operative. His sole link within the Uchiha clan. It has been 3 days so far, and the deadline passed 48 hours ago. Danzo knew that something was wrong, but there is no possible way that they could have figured out what exactly happened. Something was wrong, but even if they did, why would they simply not allow him to show? To hide the fact that they knew, unless they already had something plotting that they were going to use soon, or maybe even now. That is the reason why Danzo was getting paranoid. His root operatives were forbidden from going on missions for the time being. Something big was going to happen, but Danzo had no idea when. He had to push things along. The Uchiha clan had to be annihilated. Time skip. Itachi was now 13 years old. At the moment, him and Naruto were having a stare off. The two loving brothers who looked out for each other and took care of each other was looking at each other with such a gaze that most would be worried. Itachi has been acting strange. Yes, Itachi knew about the coup. He knew what the clan was plotting. He knew that they were all in this. He knew that they were all ready to make the necessary sacrifice to ensure that everything played in their favor. Something was wrong though. His behavior started to worry people. It wasn't only him though, but the others did not expect Shisui, but Naruto did. Shisui and Itachi knew Naruto rather well. They knew the kind of man that he was and knew that he would do whatever it takes to ensure that the clan survived. Shisui was also this way as well. Shisui desired peace. However, Shisui also was loyal to a fault. However, he didn't want things to be tipped over, but he can be persuaded to make the better move and not the stupid one. However, Itachi was confronted by Naruto after acting strange. He did not want to partake in any conversations that Naruto wanted to have at the moment, but when Naruto grabbed him and slammed him into the wall, he figured that this was not up for question, as there was no one around to hear their discussion. Do you have any idea the amount of sacrifice that how many in this clan has set to ensure that you and the younger generation survive? Do you have any idea the things that people had to do to make sure our clan remains strong? And yet, time and time again, we're being pushed to the limit. We're being pushed away from the village. Our power is almost non-existent. All of the power is being accoladed towards the goddamn Anvus. Naruto was no longer an Anvu after retiring. Itachi had taken up a spot, even serving under Kakashi, the squad that Naruto once led. You are a very kind child, said Naruto. To do what it takes to ensure peace and prosperity. Exposing you to the outside world at such a young age was father's fault. It turned you into someone that wants the betterment for everyone and everything. But sometime there has to be a choice to be made. And a choice is coming very soon, said Naruto. And I will not allow you to make the wrong one. It wasn't up for debate, it wasn't up for questioning. Naruto was simply telling him what was going to happen, as he wouldn't allow Itachi to do anything stupid. Unknowingly, Itachi was already speaking to the Hokage about the coup. He was betraying his own family. Not out of a necessity, it was simple. Itachi wanted to find a way to stop it. The problem was, even if they were able to do their plan, which was using Shisui to convince Fukaku to not make a move, Shisui Mangekyou had a very powerful ability, an insanely powerful one, the Kodomasukami, allowing one to manipulate all senses of another, making them believe that it was their idea. The question was voiced in the room with the elders, and Hiruzen as well. What would they do about Naruto Uchiha? Over the past couple of years, Naruto has become ridiculously powerful, and Shisui could only use his technique once. There was a cooldown period. It was effective, but there was a cooldown time. So it begs the question, who exactly were they going to use it on? If Fukaku was to probably step down on his actions right now, Itachi feared the worst, that Naruto might actually kill their father. The more time passed, the angrier Naruto got. He was one of the main driving point behind this attack, to ensure that his people don't suffer because they were being seen as the enemy. Perhaps he was overthinking it, perhaps he was going to the extreme, but what would they do about Naruto? When the opinion came to kill him, to stop him from further meddling with things, Itachi showed that he was still loyal to his brother, as he gave Danzo this look. The man noticed that as well, but Hiruzen silenced all that thought. Hiruzen needed to do something. He slipped, allowing so much to slip over the years. He had to do something before things got worse. But he didn't know exactly what to do. Time skip. Shisui was supposed to meet up with Itachi. Before that though, he had to meet with Danzo Shimura, who wished to speak with him. Danzo made his concerns known. He feared that Shisui would use that technique against him, and his desire was to take those eyes. He attacked him. However, Shisui used a genjutsu. Danzo was able to break out of it though by using the other Sharingan under his bandages. He had one. The attack caught Shisui off guard, which Danzo used to remove one of his eyes. Shisui jumped away. Danzo immediately signaled for his man to apprehend him. The problem was, none of them came. What did happen though was Danzo, face being crushed into the earth. The man was caught off guard, his body plummeting into the earth with such a critical force. He barely saw anything. He simply felt the pressure before it happened. Shisui, gripping his empty socket, stood there as he looked over when he saw bodies in the far distance that were burning, the seal on their tongue activating the moment of their demise. Naruto-sama, Shisui said, despite what has happened, calling Naruto's name with respect, as Naruto had came out of literally nowhere. Naruto picked Danzo up and sliced his arm clean off with his blade. Danzo howled out as Naruto removed the Sharingan from his arm. He grabbed Danzo by the head and pulled him across the ground and threw him. The man crashed hard. Naruto's Sharingan was showing the Mangekyou at the moment. Shisui took a step back, looking rather fearful, believed that Naruto was going to turn his wrath on him next. "I know what you've been doing," said Naruto. However, he handed him back his Sharingan. "We will get it reattached. For the time being, leave this place now. I will come to find you." "But I said leave," said Naruto. Shisui went away, not wanting to take the chance. As powerful as he was, he would stand no chance against Naruto at all, and he knew that. Danzo, the first hit had knocked him almost senseless, as Naruto had aimed for that pressure point. He didn't hit him in the face, it was his neck, but the force had been so crushing. Unfortunately though, Danzo did not get to achieve his desired plan. Danzo wanted to implant himself with the Sharingan eyes after the massacre that he wanted to commit. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to get those eyes, despite still being in contact with Orochimaru, the only man that could actually perform the procedure. His desire was to use his greatest foes against him as weapons. Naruto did not let it go easy. He picked Danzo off the ground and beat him until he was black and blue. Danzo was unconscious by the time Naruto was done with him. It wasn't his desire to kill him. Well, at least not yet. Time skip. Fukaku received the message, heading towards their secret location. Fukaku knew that his son was calling him. It seems like something has happened. When Fukaku got there though, immediately he knew as he looked down. He took a heavy breath, looking at Naruto. What have you done? A beaten and bloody Danzo Shamura was on the ground. As Naruto gazed up toward his father, I did what was necessary, said Naruto. I was correct. My suspicions. What suspicions? Shisui, Itachi, they've been working against us. Fukaku looked down in despair. He loved his children. He might have favored Naruto a bit more over the other two, but he loved them all. He knew that Itachi was up to something, but he never wanted to admit it. There's no need to look so depressed about it, because I know exactly what to do now to ensure that everything goes our way. Fukaku was confused, but he spoke his mind. We have to do the plan now, he said, before we're found out. No. What? We don't have... I said no, said Naruto. You don't understand. If we do that, we're going to lose. Itachi and Shisui has been telling them information about us and what we've been doing. Shisui is currently away from the public eye. Danzo ripped his eye out of his socket. What? How did you know that this was going on? I've been watching them for some time now, said Naruto. While you all expected that Itachi was the only one acting suspicious, I know Shisui as well, said Naruto. But that is not what I'm saying. I have a way to make sure that everything plays out in our favor. But in order to do so, the Hokage has to die. But guys, to be in subscribe right here. If you want to see the next person do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. And don't forget to share to all of your friends in your social media platform. But I'm off for now. See you guys soon. Peace.